RPVtv presents Studio RPV, the Peninsula's local news show with co-hosts Maria Serrao and Liz Brown-Swanson.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today on Studio RPV. I'm Maria Serrao.
And I'm Liz Brown-Swanson. We're saying Happy New Year. This is our first show of 2026 together.
It is our first show, and Liz and I are wearing Rams colors today because we're supporting the team that is still playing.
Yes, and we believe they will go to the Super Bowl. Today, what is it? We're
Fingers
filming
crossed.
on January 19th, so we still got to see what happens. And even
One
though
more
I'm wearing
game.
blue, I have to admit, I have blue on also for my Patriots in Boston. I can love all teams when I want
They're
to.
still playing too.
Because so there you go. We'll see
There
what's
you
going to
go.
happen.
We'll
Wouldn't that be
see.
amazing?
Fingers
Patriots
crossed.
and the
And Rams, and that was a redo of the one the Rams lost a few years back in Atlanta, but we won't think about that.
And of course, if my son from Denver's watching, he'll say, "Mom, don't forget to plug the Broncos," but we're not going to do that.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
And a whole other color.
Yes, so we're not wearing orange today, okay?
Yeah.
It's all about the blue and the gold. So
Yes, but this is a very exciting way to kick off the year.
It
Always
is.
football with you.
Absolutely. And another thing people kick off in the new year, obviously, is talking about weight, health, and fitness. Everybody gets back into shape for the new year. We have a powerhouse of a guest coming on to talk all things fitness, and it's going to be great.
Yes, we have a very fun special gift that really,
Yes.
hopefully will motivate all of us out there, including us.
Right.
I know Maria and I, we've worked together now 3 decades.
Yes. Do we have to tell people that?
I know. I have to say,
3 short decades.
This woman tends to keep it all under control weight-wise. I think I've gained and lost 15 pounds back and forth ever since I've known you. You've seen me every size and shape.
But you know, you and I talk about this. Like growing up, I wasn't skinny, and I always kind of dealt with weight issues, I think, and then I did gain a lot of weight, and it was very difficult. When I lost it, I think I was so afraid of gaining weight back. I've like scared myself into always making sure now that I eat differently, I exercise more and on a more consistent basis. But it is difficult because if your mind is not ready to lose weight, you're not going to lose the weight. And we've talked about that. You know, it's difficult.
And it's not just about getting the weight off. It's just the whole picture, the whole balance of your life.
Yes.
Feeling healthy, feeling energized. Do you get enough sleep? Do you drink enough water?
Right.
Are you eating the right things? And I think in my own life, as I've said, I've been on probably every diet under the sun.
Yeah.
I was a big Weight Watchers fan for a long
Which
time.
is a great program.
Right, and they let you eat everything. And what
Right.
I've learned as I've aged, at least for myself, is I've really focused on giving up. I always say this to you, the gluten, sugar, and dairy. That's a big ass. A lot of
That
people.
is. That's a lot.
It's like my mom, my philosophy, your mom, they were old school. Like they kept the same weight.
Yeah.
And my mom would say, talking about dieting is so boring, Elizabeth. Just know what you're putting in your mouth, right?
Well, and my mom would say everything in moderation. Don't eat a whole cake. Have a bite of a cake. But people don't think that way sometimes, and that's what's difficult because all of our bodies are really different, and you know your own body, you know what your body reacts to. I can have a piece of chocolate every night, but one piece, not a whole candy bar.
Right.
So it's just different the way our bodies react.
Yesterday I went to a friend's for lunch, and you don't want to keep telling people this is how we eat, this is how you eat.
I know.
But I showed up, and so they had wonderful sliced meats and some salad stuff. And she was so excited about her new 40-calorie roll.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, I'm not eating bread right now. But I didn't make a big deal about it. So we looked at our plates and it was all good. So it's like you have to do what works for you.
So I was going to say, so how do you deal with that?
So for me, because I'm really working hard to keep the gluten out, although I will have things there's lots of neat breads now that are almond flour or whatever. But in that situation, I took some roast beef and turkey, and I had a little mustard and rolled it up, and I had my coleslaw, which I eat, because I basically eat fruits, vegetables, nice proteins, things like that. And it worked out. But it's definitely a mindset because, I want to eat everything.
Well,
I'm a foodie.
And then the pressure of being in social situations where you feel like I have to eat, it would be antisocial if I don't eat with this group. So it's difficult sometimes, you know?
And then I love my dad's philosophy back in the day because he was a heavyset guy, and he decided he was ready to kind of get some weight off. And he said we nicknamed him Half Plate. So he'd go out to a restaurant, and my mom would be embarrassed. They'd say, bring me the to-go cup, to-go box now, and he'd take half his plate, everything he ordered, and just put it away. And
I love that.
He lost weight that way, and he did great. But he still ate everything.
Because I think when we were growing up, it was full plate of food, eat everything on your plate, and you were really full.
Yes.
I mean, before you could even finish.
Yeah.
But that was kind of a different way to look at things. We also ate real butter and things that were I just would never do now.
Right.
So it's just different.
I've given up the dairy for the most part because of being an inflammatory. For me, it's made a difference in my life.
Right.
At one point, I thought I was going to have shoulder surgery because I couldn't even lift my arm. And then just by eliminating the gluten and the dairy, I think all of that,
It's amazing.
Played a role in it. And also, I'm 63. So I just kind of started figuring it out. I feel like in the last 10 years, after going through a million different ways of eating.
But you know what they say, that 60 is the new 40.
There you go. I
love it.
that. And
I just made that up,
I think
but
I
it's
learned
okay.
too from you early on. You really are about eating whole foods when you make fresh soups and things like
I
that.
do.
Eating things that don't have too many ingredients, especially ones you don't know what they are.
Well, that, and I think the processed foods we've learned so much about, they're not that great for you. So when you make your own, it's always better. And, but every once in a while you have to have a sweet. So you have to, but you can do fat-free brownies. We talked about this. In fact, on the next show,
Yes, we're gonna have
we are going to have some fun.
We're gonna have a health brownie because Valentine's we want chocolate. So she's gonna do a fun version of her fat-free brownies. I'm gonna do some vegan brownies. We're gonna let the crew do a taste test.
Yes, they're going to do a taste test
you
and
wanna
see.
miss it,
And I think we should make like real non-healthy brownies too and see.
Oh yeah, they'll be the winner.
Well, maybe our other brownies will,
I know.
they'll change people's minds. You never know.
And so and so for you, this morning I had to put you in the spot. How did you start your day? Because I like
Unhealthy.
You started it unhealthy.
Well, I don't do coffee, but I do Diet Coke. And
there you go.
Charles Barkley and I we do Diet Coke first thing in the morning.
You're allowed it. I mean, I drink my coffee to start. But this morning, I whipped up I cook with ghee instead of butter. It's butter that's clarified and.
So what is that exactly?
So it's butter that's been clarified, so the protein gets removed. So I fried up my egg in this ghee, but it's not a lot of fat but good fat, and then had. I took a sweet potato that I kind of ground up in it, and then I usually put greens every morning on my plate. So I had some spring mix, and as you can see in the video, because I have a video.
Ooh,
just
I
sort of
can't
whipping
wait.
it up. But that's sort of how I start my day, and it's these beautiful colors on your plate. It's a good way to.
It is. That's right. That's true.
Yeah. So at any rate, just one day at a time.
Yeah.
And think positive. You can do it.
You can, absolutely. And our next guest is going to talk about that and more. And Liz, coming up a little later in the show, you're doing yoga, and the city of Rancho Palos Verdes has great programs.
They do. They like to keep us moving here in the city.
They do.
And for years now, they offer at Hess Park and around the city wonderful classes for all ages. So we're going to get on the yoga mat, and you're going to see some of our own city staff strutting their stuff.
Lots of fun stuff coming up next. All right, you're watching Studio RPV, and we'll be right back.
When you're driving and you need to use your phone, pull over, RPV. When drivers are distracted, driving can be dangerous.
In 1 second, your whole life can change. Make the choice that will save your life and the life of someone else.
If you need to make a call or send a text, pull over to a safe spot. You'll be glad you did.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the Alameda Sheriff's Station and RPVtv.
We are back, and joining us now is Corry Matthews, who owns Strength and Grace Fitness. Corry, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely.
We're excited to have you here because we know you're going to motivate all of us. Because
right.
You're so focused on fitness. Tell us your story.
Yeah.
Oh, I fell in love with everything about fitness and nutrition all the way back from high school. I had a really amazing anatomy teacher, and everything that the body could do and how it operated and moved. And so when I graduated from high school, I went into college, and I kind of went in as a biology major. And I was like, but where's the human body? I didn't see the human body. And they're like, you're in the wrong major. So I switched over to exercise physiology and started learning everything about the human and how nutrition and exercise and fitness and how it all goes together. And from there, my husband and I got married, and we moved overseas, and he's a Marine, and so we were over in Japan. And I remember working there, and at one point, the commanders of the hospital came up and they said, we need you to help us with the females. And I was like, oh, okay, like the moms and all that kind of stuff. They're like, no, the Marines that are like getting combat ready, like we need to help you with those females. And I remember at that point, I was like, okay, well, I have a bachelor's degree. And so I pitched to get a master's degree, and so I got my master's in sports medicine. And part of the thing I did was designing this program for the Marine Corps to get their active duty female members back combat ready. And so from there, I got to learn more and more about the body, and it was kind of a sticking point where, though, I remember somebody telling me, they're like, well, you're like 22 years old, you've never had a baby or anything like that. And I told them, I said, well, is your OBGYN a male or a female? And they looked at me and they're like, well, he's a male. And I said, well, he's never had a baby. But you trust him because he's educated to tell you what to do. And so from there, it just kept going on. And I came back and I did stuff for Gold's Gym International with fitness and nutrition. And so it all just kept going and going. And in the meantime of doing all this, I competed as a bodybuilder and had lots of fun doing that. So that's like the epitome of everything about fitness and nutrition kind of all together. And then when I turned 40, my business partner and we just kind of started gaining weight. Kind of like, a lot of women do when you hit your 40s. And I was like, something's going on. Like, this isn't eat less, exercise more, like the body fat just isn't coming on. And so for the last 8 years, I've really dove hardcore into how hormones really affect women. And so I went through, before, now it's a big deal for menopause and perimenopause, and people are talking about it. But when we started 7-8 years ago, nobody was talking about it. Nobody was talking about perimenopause and how all your hormones start to change and then you can't lose weight and how frustrating it is. And so it's just been a mission of mine to really help women get in shape and stay in shape and feel incredible, because these days we live to be 90, 100 years old, right?
So true. What was your biggest challenge when you started talking to other women going through the same thing you were?
I think sometimes it's hard because, with a fitness and nutrition, it's hard to make the changes and you have to stay accountable and you have to keep going. And so it's always about, I want to give you little tiny wins so that you can make that and see changes, and so you can keep going. Because if you don't get those little wins, then you just get discouraged and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And there's a lot
true.
And there's a lot of people that'll tell you kind of from the very beginning. When I went into Gold's Gym, I had another trainer say, well, why should we listen to you? So I feel like it's always been, well, what do you know and why should we know? And so I kind of had to prove myself along the way that I really do know what I'm talking about. And now I have hundreds of testimonials that show that I do know what I'm talking about. So,
well, you have a cookbook, you have a podcast. Tell us about the podcast.
So the podcast is something fun. So it's called Seriously What the 40.
I love it.
How about what the 50, what the 60?
Yeah,
well,
right?
And so we initially wanted it to be Seriously WTF, and so what the 40, what the 50, because I said when we started it, I'm like, I'm 47, like it needs to go on.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's really talking about all those things that happen to women in their 40s that nobody really prepared us for, and it wasn't. I think my mom didn't share a lot of this stuff. Now I talk to her and I'm like, so is that why you were doing this? Or is that why you were hiding in the bathroom? Because I didn't know any of that stuff. And so I really wanted to bring it to the forefront. And my co-host, Nar, she comes from the world of aesthetics, so skincare, beauty. And so I wanted someone, when I did this, that would really partner well with everything I did with fitness and nutrition and wellness. So we could really help women understand, okay, what happens after you're 40? And no, it's not the end.
Right.
There's a lot of life to be lived after 40.
Yes.
I want to talk a little more about the nutrition piece. Marie and I, earlier in the show, we talked about our journeys. I've lost and gained the same 15 pounds since I was on Weight Watchers when I was 18. So, and it goes back and forth, but that whole concept of like, what is the right thing to eat? Now, there's so many different philosophies, especially the way we grew up. It was the opposite. You ate a lot more carbs and things like that. What do you tell people about what they should be putting in their mouth? No gluten, no dairy, no sugar. You hear everything, all those things. But what do you try to tell people in terms of that balance?
Yeah, I think it's hard. So I think everybody ultimately knows what you need to do. That's the thing, is you kind of know deep down what you need to do. But I tell women and men, everybody that's starting on a health journey, do one thing. Focus on one thing. Like if you're not getting enough exercise in, just commit to 10 minutes of walking. But when it comes to that nutrition piece, so I do a program, and it's called the Hormone Solution if you work with me for 3 months. But what it starts with is a 21-day detox. And most people hear detox and they're like, oh, juices and all this kind of stuff. But it isn't that. It's really, I tie nutrition directly into your hormones. And when I talk about hormones, it's metabolism hormones, so insulin, thyroid, cortisol. And the key is that when you hear this go low sugar, intermittent fast, or go keto, it's always derived at your master hormone, which is insulin. But depending on your journey and where you are in life, different food groups affect you differently. And so if you don't take the time to figure out what those are, and so when I work with all my clients, we remove kind of the 7 most inflammatory foods. So we look at,
Tell us.
So we look at conventional red meat. So conventional red meat, is the most most steroids, most antibiotics, everything put in there. So unfortunately it's, alcohol.
Yes.
Sugar, we reduce sugar. We look at grains because most grains are, if you think about the way our crops are treated today in America, it's a lot of it's sprayed and chemicals and pesticides. So I remove a lot of grains out of there. We look at dairy. We look at, how much fruits are you having? We look at your coffee consumption. But as I'm removing all of these things, it doesn't mean that all of these are the issue. I just bring you down onto a very rudimentary diet. And then together we figure out which of those things are really the issue for your body.
Right.
Because if it's just one thing, I call it food freedom, because now all of a sudden you have this food freedom because you're like, if it's, let's say it's gluten. Gluten gets a bad rap. Unless you are allergic to gluten, you don't need to cut gluten out of your diet. But a lot of people are just cut gluten out. So it's really finding out what works for your own body. And once you do, then it's not only does weight loss happen, but your skin looks better, you sleep better, you feel better. So there's so many benefits to it.
Is that kind of done through process of elimination, or how do you figure all that out? Just take it all out and then incorporate it back in? Or
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's generally, because a lot of my clients ask, well, do I need to get blood work? Do I need to get all these tests done? And I said, it's all done through food. So I'm not, there's no supplements, there's nothing like that they're doing. The regular labs from their doctors work, because a lot of times my clients will go and they go and see their doctor and their doctor says, well, your labs are normal. Like all your blood work is normal. There's nothing more frustrating than going to your doctor and being like, something's wrong. This is why I'm gaining weight, or something's wrong. This is why I'm not sleeping. And they go, your blood work's normal, you're just getting older. Or, you're stressed, and you really want a solution for that.
Sure.
So I help them figure that out and then really look at the symptoms, because at the end of the day, if your blood work's all normal, what you really want to go away are those symptoms.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
When
so
it comes to
true.
your own, because everyone has their personal journey. When it comes to things like gluten, dairy, or sugar, do you eliminate those yourself personally? I'm just curious.
So for me, I have the running joke that I say that gluten and wheat just makes me fat. Like, that's just one of those. If I eat those, it makes me fat. I found out that dairy is definitely one of those that I remove. Doing this, we started this 8 years ago when we started diving in. Basically, we sent ourselves back to school and worked with a lot of doctors and medical professionals to figure this out. And I, through this process, learned that I was allergic to corn, which wasn't something that I would have normally thought of.
Right.
And a lot of people are eating corn because they don't have gluten. But I, like a teenage boy, get really bad acne across my stomach if I eat corn. And having done some of those eliminations, you would have never known. But you can live in a constant state of inflammation and your body just gets used to it.
Yes.
So unless you remove it, it makes it really hard to figure out those changes.
So what do you eat on a daily basis?
So breakfast is usually, sometimes it's scrambled eggs with vegetables. And again, I'm using eggs that are pasture raised, organic eggs, and then eating a lot of organic fruits and vegetables. Or I'll do something like a coconut or almond milk yogurt, put chia seeds in there, some protein powder, throw some berries in there. Or the easy one is a smoothie, because I can throw something in the smoothie. Lunch is generally a salad. I just love salad. And I always want my clients to get in, I know it sounds like a lot, but 3/4 of a pound of vegetables a day.
I love vegetables.
Because if they can get in vegetables, it makes a big difference.
Yes.
So I generally always eat a salad for lunch. It's my favorite thing. I love if I can go out somewhere and somebody's made a really good salad, but it's always got a protein in it.
Yep.
And then I have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old daughter that are in competitive sports, and then a husband. So dinner is always, it's a protein, it's a vegetable, and it's some sort of good carbohydrate. So it's putting those in. But again, it's a lot of like the quinoa, the non-grain pastas, like a lentil pasta, that kind of stuff.
What's the guilty pleasure?
I make, and it's actually in the cookbook, it's our #1 most downloaded recipe, and you can actually get the recipe for free on our website.
Wow.
It's the almond chocolate chip cookies.
Ooh,
And they
that
are,
sounds
because they're made with
delicious.
almond flour, there's no gluten, and then they're made with coconut sugar, so there's less of a sugar response, but they are super, super good. I always have them saved in my freezer.
And as you're
I love
talking,
that.
for me, the thing is, I've changed how I've been eating for the last couple of years, and I've had great response, which was eliminating gluten, sugar, and dairy, doing Whole30 principles, sort of whole foods is what, and it's amazing. I know for me, I don't know, you have a sweet, I think, do most people have a sweet tooth? So when you were saying the almond chocolate chip cookies, I'm like, I want that recipe.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I'm not going to make them with white flour anymore. Like, you find ways, like, of doing these things, and you can still have all those yummy things just using more whole foods. It's funny how we flipped, I grew up eating Fruit Loops and Pop-Tarts in the morning, which is not good.
Yeah, not the healthiest
We don't
breakfast.
do that now.
Yeah.
But we've learned a lot over time, which is, but especially the aging piece, right? Because
part of the
it seems
process.
like it gets harder and harder to lose and so much easier to put it on.
Yeah. And you were talking about, being in the 40s group, going to a doctor, and they're like, all your numbers look good, but they don't really understand it. You do. That's why you studied it. You understand that whole process where, that's not really their department of expertise.
Right.
So it's interesting when you've gone through it, and the more women you've talked to, you've learned so much about all of this.
Yeah. And it's not just weight loss that people are looking for. There's so many other things that people don't realize.
Yeah.
And then you get healthy to lose weight. I think that's what people don't understand.
Explain that.
So a lot of times people think that they're doing something when they start a program or whatever, but you have to get healthier because your body holds on to stuff. It's like inflammation. But as soon as you get healthier, if you change things in your body, if your hormones get healthier, your body lets go of that excess weight because it no longer needs it. And it says, you're going to feed me, you're going to take care of me, so I'm just going to drop this excess inflammation.
I know we're talking about, you're focused on women and over 40, you're a mom with young kids. Like it starts too with when we have our kids and they're young, good habits. Like I mentioned, I ate Pop-Tarts. I'm not sure what your kids were able to have because it's hard. There's so much coming at you. What advice do you have for the youth out there too about treating their bodies, like their temples?
I think the thing is eat real food. It's really find real food. We make it such a point in our family to sit down every night and have dinner together. I mean,
so
with sports and everything, it's hard, but I still then will make a crock pot meal. So I would numerous times when my kids are driving down to Irvine and doing soccer practice, they're going with thermoses and taking them with them. So it's just eating real food. And for parents, the biggest thing is, I'll have parents that reach out to me and they're like, I'm trying to get my kid to eat vegetables. I'm like, well, how many vegetables do you eat? And they're like, well, I don't like vegetables. I don't eat them. I'm like, well, you can't force your kids to eat vegetables if you don't eat them. So generally, if parents are asking me about their kids, I say that starts with you. So you have to showcase this and you have to eat better. So for the parents that are helping their kids, or even for the kids, just ask, can we eat some more real food? Is there food that we can make? That whole outside section of the grocery store still stands true, that's where you want to go shopping.
I love that.
We're going to have to start wrapping it up.
Yes.
I just want to make sure you have so much to share with our community. What's the best way they can, be in touch with you if they want to reach out to you, they want to listen to your podcast, things like that? Give us all the ways they can be in contact.
I always tell people the easiest way, as long as you can spell my name, then you can find me. So
2 R's, 2 T's.
Yes, 2 R's, 2 T's. It's just like if you guys remember Boy Meets World. So the Corry Matthews on Boy Meets World.
There you go.
But so Corry is Corry and Matthews is Matthews. And I'm on social media with my name.
Yes.
I just actually have created CorryMatthews.com to showcase all of those places in one thing. But then Strength and Grace Fitness is where I do all the fitness and nutrition.
I want you to show us those chocolate chip
I know.
cookies.
What's your favorite recipe? Do you have a favorite recipe that you just love? Or is there just too many?
There's probably too many, but there's the chocolate chip cookies are in there. There's a protein coffee in there.
Ooh.
There's a lot of really good, wholesome meals that you can make with your family. And that's the thing. This isn't a diet cookbook. This is a cookbook that everyone can eat. It's just got healthier foods for everybody in general. But you could start making these meals for your family and everybody would graduate and eat healthier.
Right.
And they wouldn't even know because you just start sliding in. These are some new recipes that we're trying out.
So good. Awesome.
right.
Corry, thank you so much for being with us today.
We're already
appreciate
feeling
it.
better getting to talk to you.
I know. We could talk to you for an hour here. It's so great to have you. We'll put all of your information up on the screen.
Thanks.
And we will be right back. You're watching Studio RPV.
When you're driving and you need to use your phone, pull over, RPV. When drivers are distracted, driving can be dangerous.
In 1 second, your whole life can change. Make the choice that will save your life and the life of someone else.
If you need to make a call or send a text, pull over to a safe spot. You'll be glad you did.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the Alameda Sheriff Station and RPVtv.
Welcome back to Studio RPV, talking about health and fitness. And Liz, recently you began taking a yoga class right here at the city. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the city has a marvelous exercise fitness programs that they offer. You go online to rpvca.gov. Now the classes, some of them already started, but they have open enrollment and you can do it all the time. I know right now there's definitely openings. So there are yoga classes, there's Tai Chi classes, all kinds of things. There's walking groups, but the one I took, actually, the city staff every Wednesday here in our community room takes a lunch break, and I joined in. and got to enjoy the class with Maria. Maria's been teaching.
But not this Maria.
Yeah, not this Maria. And we got to get you on the yoga mat.
Yeah, I love it.
Next. But it's a wonderful class. It's a great de-stressor and all that. And we have a bonus guest. Well, he participates every Wednesday.
Can't wait.
And that's our Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
He is fit. So let's join the yoga class for right now. I'm here with Matt. Excitement's building. We're about to kick off yoga here with city staff. Talk about the program that's offered to the staff.
Boy, we've been doing this about 10 years now. We have Maria, a great instructor who teaches at Hess Park and all over the place. And, you know, it's just great. It's a nice de-stressor from work, a chance to kind of get flexible. And for me, it's been great. I've never been the most flexible person, so it's helped me a little bit with that and with strength. And I look forward to it every week. It's a great way to break some of the tension and, you know, have some fun and exercise.
1, 2, 3.
It's so great to be with our extraordinary yoga instructor with the city, Maria. Happy New Year. You're kicking it off well, getting everybody fit here.
You're so kind, thank you. Yeah, and I'm very happy that people are interested to keep themselves fit and healthy. It's important.
Talk about your philosophy on wellness.
Actually, I don't have a philosophy, but I want to be well and healthy because I always think that we should not burden our friends and family with the burden of care in the future. And the best way to do it is to prepare ourselves while we can.
Yoga is what you teach at the city. You teach over at Hess Park. What do you love about the program?
Yoga, I teach mainly balance yoga, Zen balance yoga, and I'm concentrating on that because I firmly believe that as we get older, the more we need balance, because balance makes a person really tip-top shape from below up to the brain. Because balance is not really done by just the joints, it's also the sides. So for as long as you are balanced, then that's good.
It's great to be with Mayor Pro Tem of Rancho, Palos, Verdes. You are looking strong out there. Talk about the yoga class you just participated in and your love for this, just staying fit.
Yoga is great. The things that are important are keep moving, stay flexible, and everything else works. Everything else falls behind that if you can do those things. And it's so the fact that we have this yoga class once a week here and we have different sessions at different parts of the city is fantastic.
What's your philosophy on health and fitness?
Well, it's sort of come easy for me. I've been fortunate. I've had an opportunity to be outside for most of my life in different locations. So that's just part of my life, walking about half the mornings, and then, of course, supplemented by yoga, hopefully at least once a week.
Any tips you have for our viewers out there on how to stay healthy no matter what their age, stage they're in on their journey?
Well, I just turned 60 recently, so to me, this kind of extra flexibility really helps out, keeps me feeling a little bit younger. I'm not the youngest person here, but helps me feel a bit youthful, so that's a good thing.
All right, as they say, namaste.
Namaste, RPVtv.
We say thank you to one another for being together in this journey to good health. Thank you.
You know, that was an incredible class, a whole
like
hour, and I have to say that I think our Mayor Pro Tem gets a standing ovation for that headstand that he
fit.
did. He's super fit.
Yes.
And on a sad note, but needing a standing ovation, is Eileen Hupp. She passed away on Christmas Day. She was the head of the chamber and did so much for our community, so loved. We're going to miss Eileen, and you had an extra special relationship with her as well. We worked a lot with her here at RPVtv.
You know, she was just amazing. She was a dynamo. I mean, people knew her from the street fair, from the Citizen of the Year, and really everyone in the community knew her, including all of us here. And I always think back to the COVID days when the businesses were trying to get back on track, and she did so many shows with us on Zoom when we didn't even know what Zoom was, and finding people to get hand sanitizers and everything that we needed. She was there, and she will be missed. We love you, Eileen, and she went to be with the Lord on Christmas Day, so doesn't get much better than that.
She was so about the community and spreading joy and love to all of us,
Yes.
and certainly somebody, you know, as we focus this show on health and wellness, she always was about that,
Yes.
wanting to make sure we were all doing well. And I'm going to send our condolences to Eileen's family.
Right.
And she will
All her
be always
friends.
here in spirit with us.
That's right, that's
All
right.
right.
Remember, every day is a gift, so we
Yes.
got to remember that. All right, thank you so much for joining us on Studio RPV. I'm Maria Serrao.
And I'm Liz Brown-Swanson. Thanks for tuning in, and make it a great new year.